And welcome back to Hannity. Now, my next guest, our own Dr. Mark Siegel. He sat down with former Vice President Dick Cheney for an exclusive interview about his brand new book, Heart, an American Medical Odyssey, and his thoughts about Obamacare. And when we come back, we're going to talk about my heart. Here's a sneak peek.
You have always been known as the steadying hand in a crisis. You're the person that people want to go to when there's a crisis. But what effect did that have on you in terms of stress? And do you think that that led to your heart disease in any way?
I really don't. I know sort of the conventional wisdom is that a stressful job can contribute to heart disease, and I think that's true. But I love my work. It wasn't stressful from the way I looked at it. I couldn't wait to get back to that next job.
I love the scene in the book where you're out on the river. I think it's the Snake River with a vet who had has legs replaced, and you were there with a left ventricular assist device.
Right.
Could you tell us that story?
Yeah, I was living on batteries. I had to have power 24 hours a day because I had a pump attached to my heart that was keeping me alive. And I explained to him as we were getting to the boat that if I fell in, the system had shorted out and I was toast. He had artificial legs because he'd lost both legs as a Marine in Afghanistan. And he said, yeah, I know what you mean. When I fall in, my legs get rusty. So he was comparing problems.
You've always been the benefit of great medical technology just in time. The bypass, the stents, the implantable defibrillator that senses heart failure, the assist device, transplant. I'm concerned about the medical device tax of 2.3% on gross sales. How do you think that that's going to stifle innovation, or are you worried about it?
I'm very worried about it. I think it's a terrible idea. The people who invent those devices and produce them pay taxes like everybody else. But this is a unique tax that's going to be on the first dollar of revenue that comes in to the people who've invented and created these devices. When you start to tax something like that, it seems to me you do serious damage to the long-term prospects for innovation in our economy. And once the government gets its claws into some particular form of tax, it's an easy thing to do to come back and double it next time around because we want to do something else. And the argument being that, well, we're just taking it away from the guys that manufacture it. That's as bad as reducing the reimbursement rate for our doctors and hospitals under Medicare. You can't get people to provide health care if, in fact, they're going to lose money every time they do it. It doesn't work. So it strikes me that whoever came up with that idea, and I don't know, maybe I might even know the guy, I don't. But
it wasn't a physician, I'll tell you that.
It wasn't a physician, and it wasn't anybody who knows about the healthcare system. It's somebody who's trying to find an additional source of revenue to pay for Obamacare, which, frankly, I think we ought to get rid of.
About Obamacare itself and innovation, if the concept of Obamacare, which seems to me outdated, is to take this insurance umbrella and cover everyone, all this focus on preventive services, comprehensive insurance, what about innovation that doesn't necessarily work for everyone all the time? More personalized medicine, which is the direction we're going in. Isn't that jeopardized by the concept of Obamacare?
Well, I think a lot is jeopardized by the concept of Obamacare. They write a set of regulations about what you have to have a qualified insurance program. Well, a lot of people don't want that. You know, they're happy with something less. That ought to be their right. I don't like it when, frankly, a crowd that couldn't put together a website to say, well, they fixed the healthcare system. I don't believe it. And my guess is that as we go forward here, we'll find that there are a lot of train wrecks built into that program that nobody knew about. And if they had known about it, I don't think Congress would have ever passed it. I think if Obama had been truthful that you cannot keep your health insurance, there's no guarantee you can have the same doctor, I don't think Congress would have passed that.
Was there anything about writing the book, because you're known as a very professional person, this is a very revealing personal book, anything about that was difficult?
Well, there are things in there that I had not discussed publicly before we talked about the dream I had while I was heavily sedated after the LVAD was installed. Talked about the importance of family and what my family meant to me. My wife, Lynn, had to be my nurse literally every single day and learn everything there was about the care and feeding of a patient living on an LVAD. And I just decided, along with John and my wife, Lynn, that this is a story that needed to be told. It was an opportunity.